Actually, I'm doing two things. I am in the middle of writing my next book, which will also use my real framework. So right now I have the first book out called Get Real, and that's really for individuals and tuning into who you are and how you can be your best self. And now I'm working on Real Teams, which is about using that same framework within a team, reflecting together, engaging together and with others, aligning to what's your mission and yours to do.
Welcome to Career Coaching Secrets, the podcast where we talk with successful career coaches on how they built their success and the hard lessons they learned along the way. My name is Davis Nguyen, and I'm the founder of Purple Circle, where we help career coaches scale their business to $100,000 years, $100,000 months, and even $100,000 weeks. Before Purple Circle, I've grown several 7- and 8-figure career coaching businesses myself, and have been a consultant at 2 career coaching businesses that are doing over $100 million each. Whether you're an established coach or building your practice for the first time, you'll discover the secrets to elevating your coaching business.
Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Career Coaching Secrets podcast. I'm your host, Rexhen, and today's guest is Nancy Kalsow, a certified life and leadership coach, HR professional, and founder of Kalsow Coaching and Consulting. With over 30 years of leadership experience in the financial services industry, Nancy partners with executives, teams, and organizations to clarify strategy and implement it effectively. She believes that employees are a company's greatest asset and brings a people-first perspective to every engagement. Through her signature process, Get Real, with Nancy and the framework Reflect, Engage, Align, and Lead, Nancy helps leaders uncover who they truly are so they can excel at what they do. And it's a pleasure for me to have her in the podcast today. Welcome to the show, Nancy.
Thank you so much, Rexhen. I'm just honored to be here.
It's a pleasure for us to have you on. And I wanted to ask you, going to the beginnings of your coaching business, first of all, what inspired you to start Kalsow Coaching and Consulting and become a coach?
Yeah, it was really a transition that brought me here. And the bottom line was that I was just really seeing the life get sucked out of people in the corporate world. And instead of thriving, they were just surviving and trying to get through. And this came from my experience of being, thankfully, in a workplace, a culture for many years where we kind of naturally embedded coaching and mentoring. And at the time, coaching wasn't a thing, but it was sort of a natural way of performance development within that company. So I was really blessed to have people in my corner who believed in me, oftentimes before I believed in myself, and encouraged me to take risk and challenge and step out. And then unfortunately, after working there for many years, when I left that company and started in a new company, that's where I saw people just sort of having the life sucked out of them. And what I realized was, boy, in fact, that's most anywhere. Most companies do not know how to encourage their employees to be their best. So I believe that everybody deserves to be seen or heard and understood and respected and acknowledged. And that just wasn't happening where that was. And so I just decided it's time. It's time for me to take this out to the world and support teams in bringing that to their culture.
When we're thinking about the ideal client profile for you, how would you describe that? Because we might have them listening too. Is it only in that industry, or are there other industries as well? Is there a demographic or psychographic, or do they have some common goals or other commonalities?
Yeah. I love that question because, in fact, I very rarely, I have worked with several financial institutions, but it ends up that my ideal client is really any entrepreneur or, an entrepreneur or a mid-level manager even, who just feels like they're kind of stuck and they're losing a little bit of who they are, and they're ending up delivering more. They're kind of at a loss. They've lost who they are really because they're so busy doing what they've become instead of being who they are.
Mm-hmm.
And so a lot of times the teams I'm working with are, I start with a team and it ends up that it's the individuals that actually, because I do a combination of leadership coaching working with a team, but then also usually every team member will get private coaching with me in addition. And that is really to support them in communicating well with the team and being able to share confidentially what's getting in their way of having open communication so that I can help work through those obstacles.
Hmm. Interesting. So it's not just working with the leaders, but also with their team. And how is the engagement like? If we have some of them listening, what is it like to work with Nancy? Is it like when we're thinking about the teams or with the leader, is it one-on-one coaching, group coaching? Is there some sort of program of a certain length? How would you describe that?
Yeah. Well, I do have a proprietary leadership coaching program, and it usually it's either 6 to 9 months, depending on the size of the team. And that is, it's called Unleash Your Inner Leader. And because my belief is, although teams have to have people who have titles and roles of a leader, right? Somebody who is ultimately, responsible for final decisions and things like that. But I also believe that anybody on a team is a leader. And so I think it's really important that everybody can unleash their inner greatness. And that's really what Unleash Your Inner Leader is about, is it's about bringing your personal best to the team and then helping other people see your personal best, but also allowing you to see their personal best. So that program starts with each individual kind of acknowledging who they are and what they bring to the team, and then sharing that with their teammates and acknowledging each other, and then determining how to use that acknowledgement of each other's strengths and talents on their specific team, and kind of having some boundaries and guidelines around how they're going to work together.
And when you're working with these companies, how do they find you, or how do you find them in terms of like marketing? And this is a question that other coaches can find useful. Is there some sort of marketing channel that's working really well for you right now?
Mm-hmm. I wish it were that easy. I think, definitely I'm fairly active on social media. But most importantly, I think it's the personal connection. So, getting out there, and I'm like, a lot of people call it networking. I'm really more about collaboration and connection. And so going to events, I think one of the biggest things is when you go to an event like a conference, don't just show up when the keynote starts, show up a half hour early, walk around and meet some people. Get to an event early and greet people as they're coming in and introduce yourself. And those are the techniques, in my opinion. Nothing works as well as a personal connection. And what people connect with is the feeling they have when they're with us, and not necessarily the information that we're able to provide. Because, and especially with coaching, it's so important that it's not about the information I provide, because coaching is all about tapping into what's most important to you and how do I draw who you are out so that you can do your best work. So really, those connections are about, here's how here, it's not about me. Here's when I get to know you and you get to know me, you'll see your best because you're performing from who you're meant to be. My foundational program is built all around kind of the concept of who you are is more important than any role you play, rule you break, responsibility you have, or reality you face.
Mm-hmm.
And we all have those life experiences, and, we all have our titles, our roles that we play. We all have challenging situations that we're in. But all of those, when you remove them, it's who you are that makes you so unique and so important to our world, and our world needs you.
Where would you say you're headed with your coaching business in the next 1 to 3 years? Do you have any specific business goals that you're working towards?
Yes, actually, I'm doing two things. I am in the middle of writing my next book, which will also use my real framework. So right now I have the first book out called Get Real, and that's really for individuals and tuning into who you are and how you can be your best self. And now I'm working on Real Teams, which is about using that same framework within a team, reflecting together, engaging together and with others, aligning to what's your mission and yours to do, and then leading and taking action in alignment with those. And so Real Teams is on my radar. And the other thing that I'm doing for my own educational and learning is I would like to ultimately really be a mentor coach and helping other coaches just strengthen their skills. So I just registered to take a supervision course that will help work towards those credentials. So I'm really excited about that. Yeah. I love the coaching industry. I'm a firm believer that everybody deserves someone in their corner. And we all have to find who the best someone is for us. And so the more coaches we have who are really delivering from who they are, that's when we get the biggest value from coaching.
Cool. And I wanted to ask you about the book too. So, do you have like a launch date that you're thinking about, or?
For real teams, I do not have a launch date yet. Originally, it was going to be this fall, and I've sort of taken a little bit of a sabbatical. I had an executive, or my board of directors for the books, who I had many conversations with about, just getting support and input on what would be best for teams in today's market, and got such fabulous feedback that I'm doing a little bit more research than I thought I would need to do in order to get the book out. But sometime in 2026, I think Real Teams will come out. And then I have some other books also on my heart that are really just around what I call humanity. So it's like putting the who back into humanity.
Wow, great. And so it's coming out. So what about, is it written yet, or is it like almost finished?
I would say it's 3/4 of the way finished. It's written, and now I'm in edit mode, and then I'll do some beta testing with it. Yeah.
Okay.
So,
cool.
and I with Get Real, I self-published. So I'm not sure if I'll look for an editor or not. If I do decide to go that route, it will take a little bit longer, to get, or a publisher, because that process just, adds a little bit to the process. But, my most important thing is just getting good information in the hands of individuals and teams and leaders who just want to really honor the uniqueness of the individuals on their team in order to nurture their greatness as a team.
Cool. I love that idea. And so I was just thinking, like, by the time this episode is out, or maybe if someone sees this in the future, maybe the book is gone out. So it's not that far.
True.
Yeah.
Yes.
So now, like, when thinking about your book, and also, like, you mentioned working on your credentials too. And so could you share just a little bit more about that?
Sure. Like as far as credentials in general?
No, the thing that you're working towards.
The supervision credentials. Okay. So supervision it's kind of a play on words. So typically, you use the word supervision like somebody is supervising you, right? And the concept of supervision in the coaching world is more like it's positioning you it's about supervision, like superpower of your own vision. And what is really most important to you in your delivery, and why you believe coaching is so powerful. And so this credential, it does move you towards, yes, providing supervision or mentor coaching. But more importantly, it provides you with identifying holistically what is the value of coaching, and how you would support other coaches in delivering their value to coaching. Yeah. And then it also positions me so I'm currently accredited with the International Coaching Federation, and I have what's called the professional coaching level. Professional certified coach. The next level there is a master certified coach. And the supervision training that I'm signing up for does help position me to work towards the credentials of a master certified coach, which also requires a variety of hours in addition to the coaching hours I've already established to get my professional certified coach. And I think the other key thing with the supervision is that it's law. In other countries, for example, in the UK, they have more required levels of supervision, what they call supervision, for their credentials. In the US, the International Coaching Federation is one of the only ways that we establish coaching credentiality. So anybody in the US right now, anybody could say I'm a coach without certified training. And so My suspicion is maybe not in the next 5 years or 10 years, but somewhere down the line, there's going to probably be a higher level of supervision, some sort of acknowledgement that you are meeting the competencies and the criteria of a certified coach. And now that's kind of on the trust level basis. So that's another reason I really want to get into this, supporting other coaches, is because I'm a firm believer that competencies and the approach to coaching is different. It's different than mentoring. It's different than training, right?
Yeah.
So coaches really, the more we learn that and maintain those differences and use them in alignment with what coaching really is, the less likely we are to need to have somebody come in and supervise, because we're meeting that criteria with nobody supervising right now. And so that's really important to me, that we abide by that criteria and what is really making a strong coach.
And so you believe that in the future, and it's true right now, it's not a regulated industry for sure. So I believe that in future, it should be potentially mandatory to have a supervisor to make sure that you are delivering at the level that is acceptable when it comes to coaching.
Yes. I mean, it's like, and we do have recertification and things like that as part of International Coaching Federation. And there's some other coaching, oversight as well, other companies who do that, but I won't pretend to know them all. But I think, they're not real, there's not a lot of structure to them. And so that's one of the reasons I decided I was going to become coaching affiliated and certified, because, I have many years of HR experience, and I could certainly step into managing, mentoring, and facilitating. I have a lot of those skills, and I wanted specifically to be certified in coaching. So I'm making sure I'm making the distinction between what those all are.
Yeah. And when thinking about challenges right now with going back to your coaching business, what would you say, and thinking in terms of growth too, what would you say is the bottleneck right now for you? So you're working with a book too, in a way, kind of like working towards a bigger impact, because with a book, you don't have to give your time to everyone one-on-one. It actually, many people can read. So it's kind of like a way of scale. And I was thinking, if growth was the goal, or even if maintaining was the goal, where would you say is the main challenge for you right now?
Yeah, I think the main challenge is really that there are more and more people are becoming coaches and putting their flag out. I'm a coach. And the good news is more and more people are becoming certified in coaching. And so, not that I don't really notice a bottleneck for myself, because I'm a believer that, we all have our best self, and not every client is for us anyhow. And there's a lot of room for a lot of coaches. However, I think from a consumer standpoint, a client perspective, can be very overwhelming to select a coach. And then so first make the decision, I think I would like to work with the coach and know the difference between, and then selecting a coach. And so I think that is part of the bottleneck. And then people get it's almost like too overwhelming to decide they go another route, or they decide not to do it. And it's a little uncomfortable anyhow. You're already kind of showing your vulnerability that I'd like some support. And then, now what do I do? Right. So I think the biggest bottleneck that I see for the industry in and of itself is just helping match people to the right coach for them, and identifying, and even just helping people identify how they can do that. It might not be like a system that matches it, but here's some tips on how to look for your coach.
Yeah, it definitely makes sense. It's definitely an industry that is getting more and more crowded every day, and standing out in that marketplace is getting more difficult for coaches, especially when you're working in the industry, but let's say you don't have a specific niche. That gets difficult. Even when you have a niche, it's still difficult. Yeah, it is a valid point. And right now, for clients, they have too many options, which, like you said, makes it difficult for them to choose too. Do you feel right now with the clients that you work with, and you're working with in a way you're working with companies too. You're not exactly working with only individuals.
Mm-hmm.
Do they How aware are they of the certifications that coaches have? Because this is a topic that I discuss in this podcast as well. Often when you're working with individuals, they're not even aware that there's certifications for coaches, or they often don't require you to be certified for you to work with them. But companies do. Organizations potentially will do if you're going through the HR system. So how do you see that? Is that true for you or not the case?
I've seen it. I've seen both effective. And so the other thing, I think one is credentials, and I think another is expertise and experience. And, just like anything, like, bachelor's degree versus no bachelor's degree, or master's over bachelor's, right? Education is one thing. And, experience and your character and your own success in the business world could also be another thing. So I've seen some coaches who are very effective coaching without the certification, but they've lived it. They've, they've been in a company where they were, head of professional development or something like that. And now they're helping other companies carry that forward. So I see a little bit of both. I don't think the credentials are still as prominent as they could be, but they're becoming more and more known.
Cool. Right now, when thinking about for coaches, and this is the final question too, for coaches who want to scale their impact, they're driven by impact. In a way, the work that you're doing with books gives you a bigger impact, again, because you don't have to put your hours, because we only have so many hours in a day, in how many people we could help. So for coaches who want to scale their impact, is there any advice you'd like to give to these coaches?
I'm thinking about this question a little differently the way you posed it here. So this is very insightful. Thank you to make me think a little deeper.
You can think the other way you can think about it is you don't have to think about who is receiving the advice. You can even think about it as an advice to give to yourself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And scaling is a business strategy, right? So sometimes I think strategy and purpose can kind of interfere with one another. So scaling is different for every individual, right? And what's your purpose for scaling and what's most important to you? So I think that's where I go back to, is really know, like, what is your message? What is it that is yours to do? And then find all the ways you can to get that message out into the world, whether it's speaking, books, hiring other people to support that message, right? We are only one person, and a lot of coaches will do it on their own. And I'm a firm believer, hire the people who do what you don't do well. Hire them to support you. And so, I think the biggest way to scale is really tune into what's yours to do, and then connect with people who have the other areas that you need, and then deliver that message, and, find a way to, just communicate that message consistently. And that's actually, as I'm saying that, I'm like, gosh, that's where I'm kind of at. Like, I'm tuning in to really narrow my message, and, I'm feeling called to send some, like, I'm going to have this profound message. I don't know what it is yet. Right.
Mhm.
Like, but I'm moving towards something that I'm getting closer and closer every time I coach another client, every time I network with people, every time I'm collaborating. Like, even today, Rexhen, thanks for these questions, because I'm already starting to think of some, well, gosh, how might I scale this? And that's where I came up with, geez, Nancy, just share your message,
Yeah.
where else can you get it? So, I think getting into speaking is very helpful if you have a message that you want to get and spread wider than your own network.
Thank you. Thank you so much,
Mhm.
Nancy. Thanks so much for that. Great advice. Thank you so much for coming to our podcast today. For anyone who wants to connect with you or find you, I believe they can go into LinkedIn, look up Nancy Kalsow. They'll be able to find your profile. There's also the website, which is kalsowcoach.com, if I'm not mistaken, right?
That is correct. Thanks, Rexhen. I appreciate that. And I am open to sharing stories, talking with others about their journeys, supporting coaches. Just connecting is just so crucial in this industry and for our world. So I hope people do reach out and we can connect.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Nancy. It was wonderful to have you on the show.
You're welcome and wonderful to be here.
That's it for this episode of Career Coaching Secrets. If you enjoyed this conversation, you can subscribe on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you're listening to this episode to catch future episodes. This podcast was brought to you by Purple Circle, where we help career coaches scale their business to $100,000 years, $100,000 months, or even $100,000 weeks, all without burning out and making sure that you're making the impact and having the life that you want. To learn more about our community and how we can help you, visit joinpurplecircle.com.